Well, thank you so much for staying with us. And like we said before our break, we are going to be talking about bulbs now. And a lot of people think of bulbs as tulips and daffodils and hyacinths. And those are definitely bulbs, but those are bulbs that we plant in the fall. So a couple ways to remember the differences between the bulbs. If they bloom in the spring, you plant in the fall. If they bloom in the summer, you plant in the spring. So you always plant a season before you want them to be blooming. So last fall, you were planting your tulips and your daffodils and your hyacinth bulbs and your crocuses and all of those things that you want to be blooming here in the spring. You planted those in the fall. Right now, here in the springtime, for things that bloom in the summertime, you want to be planting them right now. So these are things like your lilies or your cannas, your dahlias, all of those flowering things that flower later into the summertime, they are planted right now. Now, a lot of people say, oh, it's so wet right now, I don't want to plant them. So there's a couple tricks that you can do. You can actually plant those bulbs early inside. So right now, it really is safe to go ahead and plant them outside because they're probably not going to get enough growth because the soil is not that warm that they're going to be growing very, very rapidly. But you could put them in the ground and the tissue, the new leaf tissue, won't be up in time for it to be hit with a frost. So it's going to be growing slowly. If you want to speed it up, you can start these bulbs inside in a pot, and then you can move them to the outside maybe mid-May, because inside you're going to keep that soil temperature so much warmer than you would if you planted them in the ground right now, of course. So you can plant those things in the ground, or like I said, you can go ahead and put them in pots. And we do that at the store. We put in our cannas we plant. We do some dahlias, the calocasia and the alocasia. A lot of people call them elephant ears. We plant those in pots. And we do them inside right now, keeping that soil at least 60 degrees all the time because we keep the greenhouse at 60 degrees at night, still with a furnace burning all the time. And then during the day, it gets so hot, we have to cool the greenhouse down, but we have to heat it every night to keep it at that 60 degrees. But that's what keeps those things growing at a good pace because of keeping those soil temperatures up to those temperatures 24 hours a day. So those are going to be those flowers blooming. This is the time you want to plant them. And like I said, you're going to get a lot faster growth, especially on the ones like the cannas and the elephant ear, if you do plant them inside early. And you can't really do it this year, but you could even plant them as early as the very 1st of March. If you save your bulbs from year to year, put them in a pot early in March. And then they have some really nice size to them by the time you move them out mid to late May. And you have some beautiful plants early in the season. You know, we don't start flowers the 1st of May in a hanging basket. And then by Mother's Day, you know, a week and a half later, are they big and huge and beautiful. We start all of those hanging baskets early in the season, or your greenhouse that you are attending. They start those really early in the season. Some of the hanging baskets we start as early as December and January. So it takes a long time for those things to get big and beautiful. And that's a way that you can have your plants bigger and to their full size much earlier in the season is by starting them inside. And you can do that with your container plants as well. You know, if you have beautiful containers that you like to plant and have them outside of your front door or on your patios or your porches, you can always get your plants early and plant them, put them inside, and then you will have them keeping that soil warm throughout the day or throughout the night, and then you'll have your plants doing well. We also We have worked this out with a lot of garden clubs, that the garden clubs come with their pots to our greenhouse, and they are planting their stuff here in April. They leave their pots at the greenhouse so that the soil stays warm, and the greenhouse, of course, is much warmer than the outside air. And the plants get a head start blooming. So we do offer that to groups that would like to come in and do that. And you just pay for the table space after you plant your plants, and you can leave them in the greenhouse. Give them a big head start. This is very ideal for people that are going to be throwing maybe a graduation party, or they're having a big Memorial Day party. So at the end of May, they want their flowers to look big and mature, not just planted. So you can always go ahead and do that. Or you can just come to us. We already have those planters planted, and right before your party, purchase the whole planter and then just have them ready to go for your party or whatever. So you have a few different options there to do. The other things that you are going to be planting here in the springtime by root is your asparagus. There's a lot of misconceptions about asparagus. People will come into the greenhouse and they'll say, do you have asparagus plants? And we sell asparagus by the root. We do sometimes plant some of them up and sell them in a pot, but the most of the time, because we are so busy, we don't have time to plant them either. And it doesn't really give you that much of a head start because the root or the plant that is planted in this springtime is not going to be producing asparagus for you to eat for really 2 years. Because next year, you're not going to want to have any. You're going to want it to all to go to seed. And then the following year is when you can start actually harvesting and eating. And your asparagus plants then will get very large. They grow very fast. They take up a good amount of space. So it's always nice to keep them in a contained bed. But asparagus is one that is amazing. You only have that harvest in a short period of time in our spring. Usually May is our target time. Sometimes we'll have a little bit of asparagus in April, depending on how our season is. And sometimes it'll drag on into June a little bit. Again, depending on how our weather is. But this is a time that you want to get your asparagus in. And we have them by the root. I believe they're 99 cents a piece, or you can buy them in bundles of 25 and get a cheaper rate for that. Also, this is a great time to do your strawberries. And your strawberries is similar. We do plant up roots of strawberries and have them in pots for people that like to have that root with an actual leaf on it. So we do some of that, but we also have the roots that you can plant directly yourself. It's a little bit more economical to do it that way. You can buy the root by itself for 89 cents, and that is a perennial. So it's going to keep on living and producing more for you. There's runners on them, so you can keep those runners, pull them up. We'll give you instructions on how to replant your runners into your rows so you can have strawberries for multiple years. But again, we do plant those up for you. We have them for sale in a 4-inch pot as well. But it's very easy to plant the root, and strawberries are a wonderful, wonderful fruit, high in antioxidants and very, very healthy for you. Planting a lot of them is great because you can have a lot, then freeze them so that you have organic strawberries all winter long, and that's going to be great. Or maybe you're someone that likes to make jam, and you can make strawberry jam with your strawberries. We also have a little secret recipe for strawberry jam so that you don't have to use so much sugar and any artificial material that's going to make it gel, that requires lots of sugar so that it will gel and thicken up for you. So there are some great secrets that you can, ingredients that you can use to make your strawberry jam and other jams thick without using all that sugar. That's not good for you. So we have some tips. If you come in and buy some strawberries, we'll make sure that we give you all of those tips so that you know them. But this is a time to plant those strawberries. The other things that you can be planting right now is your peas. Definitely any of your lettuces, your kale, your Swiss chard. A lot of you want to be doing this by plugs, and we have those things growing in flats so you can actually plant a plant. Others of you want to do seed, so we also have the seed for you if you want to do it that way. It's safe to go ahead and plant all of your onions. A lot of you are planting potatoes right now, and you can do that. It is pretty wet in some people's gardens, so it's best to not plant potatoes when it's real wet, because a lot of times your potato will rot before it has a time to start rooting in. So you want to make sure that it's on the drier side. But if you have raised beds, definitely you can go ahead and get those kind of things started. If you have a way to protect things, and we do have frost cloth and frost shields for some of you that want to get a head start, or if you have a high tunnel or a low tunnel and you want to go ahead and get things started, you can still you can go ahead and start tomatoes actually even in the ground, and so many other things. So there is a lot of things that you actually can be planting right now, depending on how much work you want to put into your garden on protecting them if there is a frost, or if you do have that protection already in place, like a high tunnel or a low tunnel. So there's a lot of things that you can be doing. But any of those cold crops, you can even plant your beets right now. They can handle that frost. So there are a lot of things that you can be doing in your garden. And this is a nice weekend, some warmer temperatures. I think there is a chance of rain maybe on Sunday. But today's looking like it's going to be pretty good. And so this would be a great day to get maybe your garden tilled, get your compost in there, get that tilled into it. If you had a cover crop on, this is a great time to get your cover crop tilled in. But remember this, don't till your cover crop in until you're close to being ready to plant, because you're going to get some weeds. So that cover crop is great to help you control weeds too, because it's choking out weeds. So it's a good idea to keep that cover crop in until you're pretty close to being ready to plant. But getting that tilled in, and as that cover crop decomposes into the soil, it is so good for your organic matter buildup into your soil, and it's going to be so beneficial to all of your plants. So you want to make sure that you do that. Well, we are coming to the close of our show. Don't forget, next Saturday, the Saturday before Easter, it's also Passover, and we will be having an Easter farmers market. There's going to be all kinds of fun stuff going on, and we want you to make sure that you come out. I will remind you next Saturday morning. But next Saturday will be the last farmers market at the greenhouse for the season. We will be starting those back up in November. But if you have questions, don't forget to give me a shout at 330-455-5997, or come out to the greenhouse and bring your questions to me at 5828 Columbus Road, right there on the corner of Columbus Road and Broadway. And I will be back right here with you on the Light 95.9 next Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Thanks so much, and have a blessed week.